follow this ball all the way through. Boy, we saw one of that in last week. Cameron has a shot. It's raining big moments. Umpire suggests that he goes. He does. Gets within 52 metres out. Levi Ashcroft sends a bomb. They've kicked 4 of the last 5 goals. A rare touch for him. Ashcroft got it to Bruce. Out the back. Cameron looking to get over the top. It's marked.
Off to Neil. From 50. Lockie Neil. 3 in a row, Brisbane. Blitzarves has had a huge final series. He gets clobbered in a tackle by Rayner. Advantage paid. Here's Neil again. Off to Ashcroft. No way. What is going on? Right, man. Smith. And there we go again. Rayner, brilliant.
The Brisbane Lions will win back-to-back AFL premierships. Amazing scenes.
For the last time in 2025, it is the Brisbane Lions Fancast with JB and Patrick, all thanks to Crisp Communications and hoponbrewerytours.com.au. It has been a fantastic year. The men's team have gone back-to-back. The women's team have, I'm not going to say cemented themselves a top 4 spot, but they've cracked the top 4 today with a win against Essendon, their 5th in a row, so they are making a late charge for finals. And look, things are looking up for footy fans, but at the same time, I'm ready for a bit of a break and to sit back and enjoy the summer of cricket. Patrick, it has been one hell of a year. 6 months ago, I would have said there was no way we're going back to back, but here we are. And I've enjoyed the replays with all the different radio commentaries that whoever it was that was responsible for putting those up in that Dropbox folder, thank you very, very much. It has been very, very helpful to add to my entertainment over the last couple of weeks. And I'm looking forward to early next year when there's documentaries and things of that nature. In the off-season, make sure you head to the website, brisbanelionsfancast.com.au, buy yourself a t-shirt, and if you've enjoyed what we've done this year, please consider donating to our tip jar, because it all helps and helps keep the podcast alive, and, you know, website hosting and all that sort of stuff. So it really, really is fantastic help that you're supporting us. And of course, Crisp Communications, Hop on Brew Tours. I know I mentioned them before, but couldn't do it without those guys either. So, it's sad, but at the same time, like I said, I'm ready for a bit of a rest on this one, Pat. So we've got a bit to talk about. Trade and free agency period is wrapped up, and there has been a lot of chat, especially when it comes to Cal Ah Chee, and we will get into the weeds of that very shortly, no doubt. But how's your last fortnight been?
You know me. I don't. I largely couldn't care less about the trade thing. You know, anything that is people like Sam McClure and Tom Morris's grand final fortnight, I don't care. So, I mean, I know there's a lot happening, but on the peripheries, it's just. I said completely baselessly during the week, like, surely they can just do it in an afternoon, and the same stuff will get done. Surely,
basically,
because
I
2
reckon,
weeks of absolute nothing, and this guy's going here and this is happening. It just seems to be quite destabilizing for some clubs, and all sizzle, no steak, with a bit of steak occasionally thrown in. But I like that we got our stuff done early, and then plant our flag in the sand and said, no bueno. So
yeah, let's
we'll talk about that.
We will get to it. We will get to it, no doubt. But the basic nuts and bolts of it are this: in, Oscar Allen and Sam Draper out. Darcy Craven, Sam Day, Oscar McInerney, Devon Robinson, Brandon Ryan, Brandon Starcevich, and the giant asterisk that is hovering over Cal Ah Chee, who at this stage, I guess, is technically on our list, albeit out of contract. I think that's how it works.
I think he's out of contract on the 31st of October, I believe.
Sure.
There is a 31st of October. It is one of those months, right? Halloween,
that's right.
Yes.
Yes.
Correct.
Same estate for those that celebrate.
Could be wrong, but yeah, to my knowledge, he's still a listed Lion until then, and maybe they can convince him.
Well, if you ask his manager, there is 0% chance he will be on our list next year. We do have the...
Yeah, but that guy is like the least charismatic winner of Big Brother ever. I remember...
First winner, though.
Sorry?
First winner, though.
Yeah, first winner, but I remember as probably... When did the first season air? Like 2000, 2001?
Yeah,
around that time. I remember being, however old I was then, 10, and going, this guy is really boring. Really boring. And he won. So, knew something I didn't, but good for him. That came out and was quite entertaining, got to say, that he's that guy. Looks the same.
Doesn't he?
And yeah, 0% chance. That's fine. Cool. Good chat.
He's going to do the Nick Stevens, go to the preseason draft at this stage. So we have the following picks: 17, 23, 44, 51, 59, 68, 79, 97, and 115. So you would imagine...
There's a 115?
Yeah, well, technically there is. I reckon the name next to that one will be Pass, considering this draft is very well known as a shallow draft. We're going to... bunch up whatever picks that week. I reckon there'll still be some pick trading in between now and draft night because, pick 17 will get tied up into Annabelle anyway, so whatever. I think our draft, the whole draft and strategy and everything going on with that is probably going to come into the whole thing with it when it comes to Cal Ah Chee and the decisions that were made there. And, unless you're in the shoes of Dom Ambrosio and Steve Knoll and Chris Fagan and the rest of the coaching group, you don't really know exactly what we're trying to achieve in this draft period, but I can't imagine it's a whole lot more than trying to get secure Annabelle and then filling some needs for depth, probably up forward and in the midfield, I would say. And then, obviously defenders, you need those as well. So, look,
I think it looks like it's more of a speculative draft, taking a punt on a few players that are a bit lower down and hoping that you can, turn water into wine or something along those lines with those guys. But no mention of your mate Prindable?
Look, I hope, as you know, I hope we can secure him. My worry is that he will get picked up before. Regardless, I have been able to have a chat to Ty Prindable, and he will be joining the podcast after he gets drafted, wherever he goes. So we will be able to have a chat to him at some point. So there you go.
How did you swing that?
Just managed to.
That's pretty funny because, it has come up from time to time. People go, oh, would you do interviews with players and stuff like that? And my answer to that question is me, absolutely not. Like, give it to the radio guy that way. Give it to the radio guy. Like, you've interviewed people. I am not in any, sphere to be interviewing anybody. Categorically. Know your role. I know mine. It's not to be interviewing, children that are about to be footballers.
Look,
footballers that have been footballers since they were children.
Yes, I hope that the Lions can actually secure his services, but he has had a number of interviews with a number of different clubs, so who knows? He's a midfielder in a shallow draft, so there's every chance he will get picked up before we manage to... But hopefully, the fact that we've got a number of picks in this draft means that we can match picks if we are really gung-ho on him. So he's played a couple of VFL games this year. Hopefully it all works out, but there's plenty of water to go under the bridge as well. So we will see over the next month or so. The other big news, I guess, for Lions fans over the last week or so is that not one but two Ashcroft boys have signed on to the end of 2030. So that is probably not hugely surprising, but welcome news as well. That and it looks like Will, at least, is... 21 years old with 2 Norm Smith medals, a goal of the year, and sitting on $1 million dues base with whatever else clauses in his contract and off-field earnings as well. So that kid has just clocked life, hasn't he?
He probably should have 2 goal of the years as well. Let's be perfectly real. But, is what it is. Yeah, good for him. I mean, you don't really want to be kind of messing up the pay structure on the whole, but I think with some of our players, like, did I talk about this last week about us probably paying unders on our salary cap for a lot of years heading into before we became quite successful, having the old war chest, as St Kilda like to put it. And I think that's where we kind of front-loaded a few of the contracts, like Lachie Neale and Charlie Cameron, and they were all kind of front-loaded to make room for the growth of the team. So anyone asking how we keep all these talented players in the salary cap, there's elements of that too. So because you can imagine, like, it's good management. So good for them. And good to see someone rewarded, more than they're already rewarded with awards. So,
as soon as Will signed that contract, personally, I thought, well, that just means we've locked Levi in as well, because he's not going to want to deviate from his brother. And a couple of days later, that was locked in as well. I imagine he's not sitting on 7 figures just yet, and he probably could have waited a year or two, because I think he's still on the initial first round draft contract of 3 years, so he could have probably waited a year or two and added to his contract, but I'm happy he didn't. And
he probably wanted to get off that draft contract of like 3 shillings per game that he was currently on. So
same with Logan Morris as well. He signed a contract, and I'm sure it's unders. Whatever it is, it's unders, because I think the 2 weeks that after he signed that, he kicked 2 bags of 5 and then kicked 6 against Collingwood, and he's turned into a pretty decent basically number 1 forward for us at this point in time. So,
it happens, swings and roundabouts. Signing a big contract and someone's leg getting detached from their body probably has also happened as well. So,
as we already know, and was proven again in this, trade period, contracts don't mean shit anyway. Who cares? Like Petrarca, Oliver, they've both broken 6-7 year deals. There's been plenty of them, so it's whatever.
I've got a question about Clayton Oliver.
Yeah.
Did you see this, like, face turn coming with him, where he would become like the voice of the people somehow
against Tom Morris and Mitch Cleary?
Yeah. A+. I didn't see it coming, but I'm pleasantly surprised by the behaviour, because he's saying what everyone is thinking.
Basically, yeah.
So good for him. But yeah, some of the other stuff, like, it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. Petrarca going to Gold Coast, that's probably all right, but he's kind of there as a depth player as much as anything. They got Jamara as well, did they?
They did, and as I said to my mate, who is staunch Gold Coast supporter, I said this is either going to be your Martin Pike or your Brendan Favola, but a 1 year deal with a 2nd year trigger at $250,000, I think you can afford to take that punt, really, because the upside is there. We've seen Jamari Ugle-Hagan play very well against us, kicking bags. So if he can pull his finger out and apply himself, he's obviously got the talent to be a very good footballer, but obviously got the potential to be one of the great fuckwits as well. So good luck to him.
Well, probably worth noting that I think he's been given 3 votes in this podcast by me, and Dane Zorko probably hasn't, so I'll keep that joke going. But no, I feel a little bit hurt that you could be like Martin Pike. Martin Pike at least went as a premiership player, so
yeah,
but still issues. But is Hardwick the hard-nosed individual to be able to beat that out of him? Don't know.
Maybe, yeah. It'll be a wait and see, but the Gold Coast have done very well in this trade period as well, so they did.
I think them holding on to Tattoo McGillicuddy was really good.
Yeah, holding on to Humphrey was a good choice, and then to bring in Petrarca to that already pretty elite midfield, they're going to be one to watch as well. They're going to be one to watch next year, well, the next few years, really.
Well, it gives him the freedom to be able to kind of go where he needs to go. Because you kind of saw with Melbourne, and particularly in the later years after the premiership, they were too reliant on him and Viney and Oliver was not good for a couple of years after Jared Berry broke him. So the idea that he can not have that level of responsibility and float forward and impact is probably really good for them. So I think he'll probably play a bit more forward than not. And to be honest, if you're having actual players like Rioli and Noble kicking you the ball rather than like Oliver or fucking who else? I don't even know players on the Melbourne list anymore. Gorn, tonking it in on your head, you're probably going to have a better chance. So
it's interesting, you know, and as it's been said before, and I guess it completely makes sense. You know, I used to live and for trade and draft period and everything. It's like, what are we going to do this year? What can we possibly do to make our list better? And, you know, hanging out for stupid deals like, oh, Jack Frost is coming through. Like, he's gonna move the needle. Like, he's the missing piece. And now it's just like, I don't care. It's not that I don't care. It's like, it's obviously interesting, but it's like, this is not at the forefront of my mind. Can we please just keep, you know, basking in the glory of the premiership, please? But, you know, for 17 other clubs, I understand where the fascination and the intrigue comes from for sure.
I mean, I like the draft. The trade period is just a bit like, well, does this guy want to go here? If yes, how does that facilitate? Cool. And it's always the same boring story every time. You know, 3 first-round draft. You know, it's some of the stuff where like, oh, you can now trade more picks into the future, and like the goalposts are moving all the time, and you're like, just what is going on? Like, just who is in charge of this? So yeah, it's a big pass for me. I'm happy to be surprised by being like, oh, look at that guy wearing that shirt. And it turned out it was Merritt wearing Essendon shirt.
Yeah,
that was the surprise of the week.
Yeah, that's going to be a tough one, isn't it?
I think one of the things as well for me is the player manager and like the kind of corporate element of player management, where they're sort of their own entity and they're in these little like stables where they kind of have people all over the place and things like that, and they're just big pants fuckwits that just walk around like they own the place, be like, well, I'll do you this favor. It's like, shut up. Like, who cares? Shut up. Like that dude, the Merritt's manager, how he's
Petrora,
like yelling at the...
He was blowing a gasket, wasn't he?
And Jared Rothhead sitting there in the corner being like, who's this guy? I've won 4 premierships or whatever. Like, and who's this guy? And same thing with your like fella big brother boy, just shooting his mouth off, and it's like, cool, but is it really important? Like, why would you want to burn all of the bridges just in case? And I guess his logic would be, we burned the bridge first. But it's like, no, we revitalized a fringe player, stuck with him for a lot of years when he was not particularly great, and he became a 2-time premiership player, playing a very, very important role for the team and was highly valued. And the team valuing him was the burning of the bridge. So, you know, what did I say before? Who was that guy that went at pick 38 to Richmond?
Tyler Young from Richmond to West Coast.
So he went, what was the pick that that Adelaide offered us? Like 35?
So it was a future second, future third, I think. And we were looking at, and potentially, like, there's been so many different reports. It's like, yeah, originally we wanted to pick 16 or whatever it is that they had. In my opinion, that was too high for Cal Ah Chee. And then, you know, their next pick was 48, and that's not enough. So you needed somewhere in the sort of high 20s, low 30s. But at the end of the day, like I said, it's a shallow draft, so I guess maybe that's why they were pushing so hard for it. And then you're looking into futures. 2 future seconds, I think, is what we were after. And Adelaide balked.
But even then, if it was a future second and it's for this draft's kind of being shallow. Doesn't matter if it's a future, but also when you're throwing in a lot of the other stuff, like, yeah, you know, if they finish top of the table again, which they can't play finals for shit, but they can finish top of the table, that pick becomes what, 36, and then it gets pushed
36
down by all
with
the other stuff.
Pushed out to 40, whatever.
So
look, I don't know.
Sort of, I understand, and paying pick 16 is, but do something about it. Trade pick 16 for 2 high first round. You see people do it all the time with pick 2 or pick 3 where they make it 7 and 9. They needed to be smarter, Adelaide, and they'll probably end up getting the player for nothing, but they might not. And that's what I am here for, is that doubt, that anxiety for their list management, the people doing extra hours in the soft cap, worrying and wondering. I am all here for that level of anarchy and stupidity, and it's beautiful. Do you want to talk more about Cal? Let's do the deep dive on Cal Ah Chee.
Let's dive into it. What I will say is a very active trade period, and the first I can remember in a long time where a lot of deals didn't get done, including Merritt. Rowan Marshall didn't get done. There was a few others here and there. Merritt's obviously the biggest one, but Cal Ah Chee seems to have the most angst attached to it for whatever reason. And God, I went on Twitter for like 5 seconds during that whole period, and I've avoided it since because people are just going at each other. I don't understand why people are taking it so personally, for one, and getting angry at other strangers on the internet, but that is the internet, I suppose, about this whole situation. Personally, I think we probably should have treated Cal Ah Chee with a little bit more respect in this whole situation, and definitely been a little bit more malleable in the trade negotiations, because, I mean, let's be honest, we're underpaying him. Like, that's a fact. We're underpaying him. He's got two kids under 5. He wants to go home, be close to his family, and make some money in his career and do the best for him, his partner, and his kids, and, set himself up for life. And we have played him in every position possible, including up into the grand finals. Like, well, Jared Berry's here, so now you're on the wing, you're playing on Ollie Dempsey, who tore us apart a couple of weeks ago. And for 95% of that game, he played amazingly on him. Yeah, he scunged a goal early and then kicked 3 junk time goals. Who cares about them? But he played his role, as he does every single week, gave his all, even though he knew he was leaving, gave his all for the team. And I just think we probably could have treated him with a little bit more respect and gave him his wish to go and live his life in a bit of happiness,
See, I knew we would clash on this.
and you're probably you're probably going to represent a majority of the Brisbane Lions fans of, nah, fuck it, get pick 16. Like, the guy's a 2-time premiership player, and I get it. I'd love to hold on to him, but in my eyes, we can replace Cal Ah Chee easier than we can replace Brandon Starcevich.
Yeah, but that's kind of, don't straw man me with that thing. We're talking about Cal Ah Chee, not Starcevich. So how dare you? No, I'm not a brutalist that is like pick 16 or let's go, but to play devil's advocate, the man had it all, 2 premierships, and now wants it all in a different way. He wants to move home with money. A lot of people don't get the opportunity to get both, and yes, we probably should have maybe relaxed a little bit on our valuing of Ah Chee, but also Adelaide, they're a direct competitor, in my opinion. They finished top of the table. They've bungled their way in some finals, so they're now potentially a threat next year because they know what to expect. Nix will know how to coach not the worst ever by a coach in a finals, although that could have been Longmuir. He could have been there too, for the, who can coach worse in finals. So you're selling to a direct competitor, and Adelaide didn't value him and also lacked the currency. So, like a lot of trades,
I mean, you're offering this guy a 5-year deal or whatever. I don't know. I don't know what money they were offering Cal Ah Chee, but clearly more than we were prepared to.
It's fine. Yeah, absolutely fine. And yeah, we were underpaying him, but he wasn't undervalued for us. And his want to give to the team was to win premierships. You hear a lot about players saying they are there to win premierships. Individual accolades don't really matter all that much. And that's where you see guys like Starcevich, guys like Ah Chee putting it on the line. Hipwood, they will do stupid, dumb things for the team to win the premiership for people that they like. And I don't think that our, line in the sand, to use a topical term, if you want to go into the merit stuff, but I don't think it's bad, because I think it's it's not I don't think it's about Cal Ah Chee or even so much it's about Adelaide. I think it's a response to this management third wheeling and dealing bullshit that the clubs are a bit like, no, we've had enough. Like, we've had enough of this.
I do like the fact that the power is slowly transitioning to a little bit more equity, and the clubs are claiming a little bit more, because it has been too heavily in favour of the players for the last 5 to 10 years of like, I want to leave and I want to go there, and the clubs are sort of hamstrung of like, I guess we've got to make that happen. So I do like the fact that it is the pendulum swinging back the other way, but at the same time it's like, all right, the guy's given us all and won 2 flags for us. I'm at the point where I can sort of, you need to let these guys go with our blessing, because they've done their bit for the team, they've played their role, and now it's their turn, because you're only a footballer for so long and you need to make the most of it, and that's what he's trying to do.
True, but both can be true.
I get it.
He wanted to leave the Suns to go to a more successful team, and we put our hands up to say, yeah, we'll take you.
Well, I think he wanted just opportunity as well.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not like he wasn't getting up. Well, it's not like he shouldn't have been getting opportunities at the Gold Coast Suns back in when they were awful. So I think there's an element of that was a speculative trade for us. We jammed him all over the field, and he was not good for about 2.5 years, and then it clicked. Something clicked, and it worked. So, you can look at a lot of things about players serving the clubs, but the clubs also serve the players massively. And I think
on the complete flip side, the way we dealt with Devon Robertson is like, we could have forced West Coast to make a trade, but we've gone to Dev. You know what, man? Like, you deserve to play senior football. It's just not going to happen for you here because our midfield depth is off its head. Instead of, making this an ordeal for you, we're just going to delist you, and you can just go to West Coast for free, and everyone can just wash their hands, and it's all fine. And I guess, if that was another top 4 team, it probably would have been a different situation, and we would have played a little bit more hardball. And I guess that's what you're saying with, Adelaide being a direct competitor when it comes to the pointy of the season. So there is a little bit of nuance there as well, but like, just the way we handled those 2 different situations is just chalk and cheese.
Yeah.
Hey?
Well, I think with the Dev Rob one is they probably, because it looked for all money that he was gone in 2023, right? And then he signed on a two-year extension or whatever, because again, it's a speculative thing where you go, the club says maybe if Zorko falls apart, you might get a run in the mids. As it turns out, he didn't fall apart, and Zorko got put elsewhere, and he still didn't get a go because we had a maniac child join the team. So, and I think that's probably more, we kind of bungled this one, but we were trying to provide a contingency for ourselves. Whereas I think with the Cal Ah Chee one, it's sort of all bets are off, really. Like, both are trying to, like, the goodwill is shared both ways. Yeah, it was goodwill to have Cal Ah Chee playing with the team, but the goodwill is also Cal Ah Chee winning premierships and playing good football consistently in a system that shows the best of him. Because it's quite clear that if the system isn't quite right, it doesn't show the best of him as a player. So, it's some will say that we should have done more to facilitate. I don't mind the stubbornness because I don't think it's about him.
Yeah, and there's
I would love him to play for fucking Port Adelaide. That would be so funny. Like,
there's
that would be
of people saying that, like, this, the reason we were so hard on this one is because we know Adelaide are going to come for Zach Bailey next year, and we want to show them off the bat we're not going to bend over and let you just do whatever you want. So I guess there's that aspect to it as well. But from all accounts, it looks like Zach Bailey will probably sign on before, the start of 2026 anyway. So, yeah, on one hand, I was like, I like that we are, consider this time 10 plus years ago when Pollock, Karnesis, Billy Longer, Doherty, Yo, all go, nah, I'm done here. And we just go, okay, fine, I guess you can go. But it's, a different situation now. It's like, come on. Like, he's done everything for the club. Just let him be happy. Anyway.
He will be happy. He will be happy. One way or another, he'll get to Adelaide, but I think, it's a show of strength in a way where, yes, we had players that were vacating the club, and you had a culture there of going, well, we don't want players that don't want to be here. I think now we're in a privileged position to say that everyone would want to play for the Brisbane Lions. So even if you're still here, you'll play for us, and if you're good enough. Like, no one's reining it in, and not like, if Cal Ah Chee somehow got like locked hostage and something went wrong and he stayed at Brisbane, he wouldn't be playing in the twos, and he wouldn't be sulking around. He'd be like, oh well, shit.
He'd just be playing at gunpoint.
Yeah, like the What's New Pussycat Tom what?
Tom Jones, yeah.
Tom Jones, there you go.
Look, I mean, I don't know. It's just messy, the whole situation. I can't help but feel for the guy who was probably just trying to enjoy his off-season, assuming that the trade was going to go through, and then instead of enjoying his holiday or whatever it is he's doing, he's sitting there stressed out of his brain up until the end of trade period going, well, what the fuck's going to happen here? Am I going to get held hostage? Yeah. I just feel bad for him, man. Like, at the end of the day, there is a human element to all of this. And it just sucks because, like, I can't imagine he's going to look fondly on the Brisbane Lions leaving the club in the same way that Jared Lyons did, who, when he shook hands and hugged everyone and just kept saying, fuck, I love this club. That's not the taste that's going to be left in Cal Ah Chee's mouth.
Yeah, but he has 2 premiership medals around his neck. So hindsight will be what he chooses it to be. He will get to Adelaide one way or another, and that's sort of the way things kind of are.
Yeah,
we've been bitten by it, and yeah, I
it's not. It's like it's not often that. It's not often that players walk to the preseason draft. Jack Martin was the last one who got to Geelong in the end, and Nick Stevens is obviously probably the most famous, who got picked up from a club that he didn't want to. I think he wanted to go to Collingwood before Carlton got him, or whatever it was. So, yeah, it's strange. Like I said, I can't remember the last time that a trade period went through and that many deals didn't get done, but I do like the fact that the clubs are probably being a little bit stronger in their beliefs, in their vitriol. So
what you're saying is you want more relatable stories, but you want zany hijinks to happen with them.
Yeah. I think we could all want that.
Sounds really beautiful. Well, that's Cal Ah Chee, and I really am happy that he played at our club for the amount of times, and I'm glad they persisted when weaker-willed individuals maybe would not have. So,
well, yeah. I mean, I don't think there's too many Brisbane Lions fans in those first couple of years where he was on our list going, what the hell is this guy's role? Like, is he wing? Is he half back? Is he half forward? Like, I don't know. He's in and out of the team. He's starting every year in the twos, and then injury comes in, and then he comes into the, starting team and then doesn't lose his spot. And then the last couple of years, he's been a mainstay in the 22, 23. So, yeah.
He almost overnight turned into the hardest player in our team. But tough as nails. It might have been after Cripps knocked him out.
And just so versatile too.
Time off. Yeah. But the versatility was not helping him, and I think we talked about it a lot. Where like once he got a bit more stable, it allowed him to kind of get that rhythm in his football, and then it meant that his versatility became more of an asset once he knew that he had confidence in what he was going to do. So, very fond of the little California Ah Chee. Had some really good moments, really important moments.
Yeah,
excellent.
And the worst bit is, as soon as he touches the ball in Adelaide colours against us, he's going to get booed. And I hate that for him.
Yeah, but it'll probably be an ironic thing, right?
I don't know.
It better be.
It should be, but it's not going to be. And look, obviously, obviously Stars goes as well. And like I said, he's harder to replace, especially with Noah Answorth going to be missing the first X amount of 2026, who is the closest thing to the small lockdown defender that we've got on our list. So that one hurts less because it was done nice and easy, and we got a end of first round pick for him, and he's going to a club that isn't in direct competition. It's, they're not threatening us anytime soon, the West Coast Eagles, so they're not in the window. It's so much more palatable because he's going to a team where, he's going home, for one. He's going to be earning the money that he probably deserves, and I think everyone's just going to be happy for him.
Yeah, I mean, we got
aside from the fact that, he's one of our favourites here on the show and hard to replace.
The big bold Starcevic, the ship of Starcevic, ship of Theseus, like that. That's utter madness that, early listeners of the podcast will know when he came back razor bald the start of last season, trying to, cycle through his different cells in his body to forget that Bobby Hill mark, and he did 2 premierships. Good for him. Who else should we talk about?
Well, I think we should talk about the roles that Draper and Allen are going to play for our lineup. And, I mean, obviously, the club thinks they are starting 22, 23, and they are. They are, first 18 players, basically. What does it mean for the rest of our forward line? I don't think when we started the process of looking at another key forward that we expected Logan Morris and or Ty Gallop to be what they are. And Ty Gallop, I guess, is still unproven, but you can see the potential. Obviously, you can see the potential.
He's the prototype for a reason.
I guess it is lucky in a way that we're going to be missing Eric Hipwood for the first 10-ish weeks of 2026. It makes selection that much easier because I think you can... I guess who misses out is Darcy Ford out and Sam Draper still in as number 1 ruck, and then second ruck, is that Oscar Allen, is that Ty Gallop? Who knows? I guess that's the decision you've got to make. But once Eric Hipwood is fit, you've got to try and fit 4 forwards and 1 and or 2 rucks, including Darcy Ford. I'm going to throw him in there because he's a double premiership ruckman, into a position like 4 or 5 positions.
One thought that I have is I feel like trying to fit Eric Hipwood into a system that's already established, I think is easier than the other way around. So if it was trying to fit a younger player or a marquee kind of, and you say, well, this is how it's set up, and you're coming in for like Ty Gallop come out and Oscar Allen comes in or something like that. Whereas I feel like Eric is just sort of happy to be there, and he's just like, yep, I'll do that, cool. And we know that guy will play his role like till the cows come home.
Well, so I'm seeing few people saying, well, if Eric is fit, you play him up on the wing. We know he can run. You put him on the wing and you play someone like Fletch as a permanent down back as a Starcevic replacement. But it's a tall team if you've got Allen, Draper, Hipwood, Morris and Gallop all in there, and then maybe Darcy Ford as well with the extended bench. That's something we're going to have to get our heads around as well.
See, I would be worried that like Zorko would forget, like he'd be like, oh yeah, Eric's on that far wing, I'm going to do the no-look kick out there, and it's like Levi Ashcroft to try and take an overhead. But yeah, I mean, I don't know, they'll have something theorized for it, but at the same time, I harp back all the time to the idea of rotations and resting and yeah, I think the ability not to have to rush is a positive, and I mean that kind of across the board, across the ground. He could be a swingman, Everyone wants him played back, the old eel. Never know. You never know. So
well, I mean, his body's the last couple of years it's been iffy, and then Draper and Allen's bodies have been iffy as well. So
I feel like Eric needs like an arthroscopy. A whole corpse arthroscopy, like elbows, shoulders, like just send the vacuum cleaner in. All done. All of it, everywhere. I don't know that they do that. That's just a new body. So
A full body clean out. Yep. Yeah, the word corpse also implies that he's dead, so there's that too.
Yeah, unless he's reanimated. And I guess is Chris Fagan, the great necromancer of our age. Who knows? Draper for sure will be the number one ruck longer term, which is not.
Obviously long term, yeah.
But I think, Darcy Ford is awesome to have, and clearly, age is like fine wine, and even has the ability to just come in. I'll take a medal. Goes out, cool. I'll come back, and we've seen his last 2 seasons by comparison have been like polar opposites because he did nothing in 2024, and then he rucked the whole season last year. So he can clearly he thrives on consistency. He thrives on just being there to have to do a thing. So that's the ideal, amazing, but he's not going to be there forever. The other side of 30.
I think he's 31, 32.
I shouldn't throw shade like that.
Yeah.
So.
And then you've got Henry Smith there as well. So he's another one that we said this time last year, well, he's the long-term project that's going to be probably a mainstay in the team. And then, injuries caught up with him last year as well. So what's his role going to be next year as well? So it's...
Funnily enough, Gallup's emergence has done more to probably push Henry Smith back than anything, I would say.
Yeah, for sure.
Draper, of course, as well. But I don't think if you went back 12 months, I don't think either of us would have thought that coming into this season, Fort would be still there and O would have retired. I hold my hand up and say I would have thought it was the other way around. And that is the way that things happen sometimes. So...
Yeah, and it is sad to see Oscar go, and he's a bloke that you'll probably just never hear from again. He'll just be happy to live whatever life he's got in front of him, and people will run into him here and there and share a smile and a handshake with him. And I hope for some reason, whatever, that either of us run into him one day, and he just I've met him once, loveliest bloke, and I'm glad. I think everyone's glad he got himself a premiership medal finally and can sail off into the sunset.
I think because you've met quite a lot of the players, I think the only player that I've actually interacted with is Jared Berry, and I think that was 2019 or something. So
also one of the great blokes.
I haven't put in much work with the team, to be perfectly frank. I don't think they want to put much time into me either, and who can blame them? So.
Look, I'm genuinely interested to see how we are going to line up in 2026 for round 1, and there's still plenty of water to go under the bridge between then and now. And there's been a few, AFL.com.au and Fox Footy have all put out there like, well, this is what the starting lineup could look like for next year, and players missing, and then you think about players like Tom Doedee as well. There's like, God, what's going to happen there? Because I think he's still got at least 1, if not 2 years left on his contract that he's got with us.
1, I believe. It's got to be 1. They wouldn't have given him 4
I think they gave him 4. I think they gave him 4 years.
Okay.
Yeah, so...
Speaking of speculative, that's what that is. And it has been proved so.
And then Link McCarthy as well, as another player that you would think... if he can keep his body fit, will come back into that team as well. And that's what I mean. Is like, he is as close to like for Cal Ah Chee that we can get into that team in terms of forward anyway.
His skill set, as far as being one of the most skilled players on both feet, both hands, doing a role, because it is worth noting that if you go back 3 or 4 years, he was doing a lot of those defensive diffusing roles on Tom Stewart and the likes, and they worked out sometimes better than others. Certainly better than Cam Ellis-Yolman. That one didn't go very well, but sorry to bring that up and remind everybody that existed.
Well, like I said, there was a time where you're looking at and going, yes, Cam Ellis-Yolman, big-bodied mid, let's go. And now you look back and you think, Jesus. Him and Tom Bell.
Worked it. Yeah. Aside from maybe because Charlie Cameron came from Adelaide, and since then we haven't Who else has come from Cam Ellis-Yolman? We've had Duday.
Yeah.
Anyone
and
else?
Charlie. I don't think so. Not off the top of my head.
And meanwhile, if you go the other way, we've given them a coach, Ben Keys and Hinge, who have both been first-team players. So maybe Adelaide should stop their nonsense. I'm going back to that well. I'll drink from that well again. Adelaide, just notice when you've been given a good series of things. You bastards.
What did you make of Carlton's trade period? Because I know you've got strong thoughts one way or the other on Carlton. So, lost a couple of big names, of course, in Curnow and TDK, but they get in 4 players and a series of first-round picks as well. So,
Did Ollie Florent go to them?
Florent, Hayward, Ainsworth, and Liam Reedy as well. So, none of them are necessarily like A-graders. I like Will Hayward. I think he's a underrated football player. He's probably the pick of the bunch. Ainsworth has his moments.
Well, I thought Ainsworth was retiring, and I don't know who Liam Reedy is, so that shows my thoughts. But Hayward, good. I mean, I was going to ask you, what is the biggest problem with Carlton? That they lack skill. They can't kick the ball.
Yeah, speed and kickers.
And they bring in the player with the highest turnover rate in the competition by foot in Ollie Florent. So nailed it. Absolutely nailed it. And now they only have one key forward, and it's Harry Mackay. So they're fucked. I'm like bottom 4, if not like bottom 6, if not bottom 4. So funny. I feel bad for Michael Voss. He's got a bit of the Ange Postecoglou about him here. So
yeah, if you had to...
Also lost Silvani as well, so...
Yeah, big one. If you had to pick whether they were going to... If Vossi was going to see out 2026, I don't think he does.
No. Like, they're too rabid.
Mm.
It's not going to happen. They'll probably bring back, like, Ben Ratton or David Teague, or they'll just do some stupid... Carlton-esque thing that makes no sense to anyone but like the 3 people that are in charge of that group of whatever. Their demise has been like amazing. It's been so bad.
It's been something, hasn't it?
And it's the sort of thing where you go, oh, well, they've had a lot of injuries. It's like, yeah, so did we, and we won the premiership. Like our 2 worst injury seasons that we've had since we became good have been the last 2 seasons. Top marks.
Yeah, true.
I said it after. It can't get any worse. Next year cannot get any worse in an injury front for the Lions.
Don't put that out
Doesn't
there.
mean we'll win the premiership, but I like tempting fate because, you know, when I tempted fate about going back to back, we went back to back. So
true.
I'm getting feisty. Curnow to Sydney is a bit of a problem because they've got better players than Carlton.
Yeah,
so
it obviously makes Sydney better, who obviously they had injuries for the first half of the season, and once they got, I mean, namely Errol Goulden and Tom Papley back, they were just infinitely better and made a very late but too late push for the 8, and obviously beat us and beat a series of teams that were better than them in the back half of the season. So they'll be right back up there again, you'd have to think. And in the way Sydney does, they just get a marquee key forward to join their ranks.
Death Taxes and Tony Lockett,
Barry Hall, Lance Franklin, yeah.
It's like Charlie Curnow, and you know, it is funny hearing and seeing some of the yammer from Carlton fans about his, you know, body language or how he wasn't actually that good or whatever. So now you're stuck with your Harry Mackay. So they should have traded out Harry Mackay last year. So at least I got which one it was correct. I saw an interesting video. I don't remember what it was, so sorry. But it was sort of talking about how the writing was well and truly on the wall with the Lions in last season. If you looked at it statistically, they did a lot of, you know how like they rank like efficiency and, you know, inside 50 differentials or whatever. They basically just went, nah, we're doing the top 9 teams because that's all that matters. And the Lions were basically better, or the same, or incrementally worse against the top 9 teams comparative to all of the other ones that their stats got wildly inflated by playing the bottom teams, a la Adelaide and Western Bulldogs, who had quite high sort of statistical differentials. But yeah, when you came to the better teams, we are better, which we said a lot during the year, that somehow we play better against the good teams and against the Melbourne and the North Melbourne and that nightmare of it all. We're lucky we didn't play them all the time. So
it'll be interesting to see what sort of, what the fixture looks like for next year as well, considering
it can't get any worse than the last 2 years.
You'd think so, because, this year, obviously, as pointed out by lots of people, the worst ever and hardest fixture and what not, but jeez.
I still personally think our travel load was worse in 2024. I keep having to look at what year it is because I'm an idiot. So if anyone's wondering, that's why I keep looking at the date down there to check which year it is. It's funny because people talk about equalisation and they say, someone said something along the lines insane that they need to do more with which teams play which and how it's equalised and without the best teams playing. And it's like, yeah, they try to do that. The Premier's played the hardest fixture, and it said, does it work all the way down to the bottom? It's like, yeah, but teams improve in the off season. So even if you said all right, Richmond, you get the easiest draw. What if they trade really well and jump up, and they're not actually the worst? That's how it works.
Yeah.
So I don't need to tell all the listeners of our show. They have brains. They understand how these things work. So I'm just airing my grievances with the typical fan, possibly of St Kilda or similar. Your mate, you've had some players. So I feel like I get told when I back the wrong horse here, but 2 players that in recent times you've said, I like him. You've got Bailey Smith and Blake Hardwick. Now, did you see Blake Hardwick with the Wizard and with Ginnivan refer to Essendon as Alcatraz?
Firstly, I never said I like Bailey Smith. I said I don't mind him. A lot of people seem to hate him. I don't have the level of vitriol that a lot of people do to him, but he's not my favourite. I like the way Blake Hardwick plays his footy. I think he's a good footballer. I don't know what he's like as a bloke. And as far as that Alcatraz thing goes, who cares? And
so I just wanted to bring that up because
and Bailey Smith's just going to keep doing whatever he's doing, and unless Geelong go, hey, you're not fitting our whole thing of, the club's bigger than you, not the other way around. It's time for you to piss off. He's just going to keep doing what he's doing, unfortunately, and at least he's backing it up on the field, I suppose. I don't know, the Alcatraz thing, who gives a shit? Zach Merritt, Essendon,
I know, I just
Hawthorn.
wanted to point out that he's clearly a petty individual, and that's coming from a petty individual. So,
yeah, look, whatever.
I agree. Look, I've got to get my own back on you, and clearly I'm reaching because you've got a pretty clean record here, whereas I do not. So,
in other news, though, the girls, a huge win today against Essendon down at Windy Hill. Love kicking behinds, the girls do this year. 7 goals, 12. It started off pretty shaky. It was 3 goals, 8 for a while, and then they did correct it a little bit in the back half. But 5 on the bounce, as I said, and they are now sitting in 4th with a couple of rounds left to go. So if they can keep winning out, it is going to be tough. They've got Melbourne, who are playing very, very well. That's going to be at home and next Saturday night at Brighton Homes Arena. And they finish things off against Collingwood, so that, you'd pencil that in as a win. It is away, but Collingwood sitting 17th. They'll have nothing to play for by the time round 12 rolls around. So hopefully can still finish top 4, but I don't know. They're beating the teams they should, and they are losing the tougher games, especially earlier on in the season against teams in and around them on the ladder. So it's the Hawthorns, obviously North Melbourne, who are indestructible, sitting on top of the ladder, undefeated with a percentage of
May never get beaten
318.
again.
It's mental. It's absolutely mental. Our percentage is fairly healthy. It's at 166, sitting just below North and Melbourne, but Hawthorn still are very, very good. West Coast, I don't think they're going to be a huge threat come finals time, neither St Kilda, Adelaide or Carlton at this point. Sydney's floating around, so is Freo. Dogs not so much, but I think prelim is probably the pass mark at this stage for the Lions girls.
Yeah, fair assessment. They seem to sort of be in that 6-4, 6-3.
Yeah,
bracket.
I think top 4 is about right. The game plan, the strategy has changed a little bit this year, and I have noticed that they're putting the better ball users and the better footballers, if you will, like out and out footballers behind the ball. So like Postlethwaite's gone back behind the ball. Even Charlie Mullins is playing a little bit behind the ball, and they've moved someone like Poppy Bolts up forward, who is a bigger body and not necessarily the best footballer, but she's moved a little bit more forward. Jade Allenger's been back behind there a little bit more. And then you got folks like Nisa Dooley as well, who's sort of floating. So they're playing a little bit more of the kick mark game than previously and not relying so much on fitness, trying to match it with the likes of North Melbourne. But I think they're just too good, North. Like it's theirs to lose.
Well, that system change should hold in good stead in the longer term, because my assessment of the team over various viewings had been that they relied quite heavily on the individual talent of certain people in the forward 50 and around the ball, and it's like if you can actually sort of structure the game, and that's what North Melbourne killed us in the grand final last year. Their structure was just so good.
It was indestructible.
It was two different football ideologies that clashed, and good system.
Yeah. Impervious system, basically.
Get a good system.
And it's not failing anytime soon. So, like I said, the league still runs through them. It's theirs to lose. So we'll do what we can. But like I said, prelim is probably the pass mark at this stage. And look, Starcevic will get them there again. And Courtney Hodder is just having a great season. She looks noticeably fitter and playing a little bit more in the midfield, and then still doing damage up forward. So she's well in contention for All-Australian this year, you have to say.
Excellento. Sweet.
Yeah. Before we wrap things up for the year, is there anything else that you want to shoot out? Or should we do one more wheel for...
Nah.
Nah?
Nah.
Okay.
I haven't got my shit charged. I was not prepared for a wheel. Anything else? Sort of. I guess one thing. Really glad Danny Daly stayed with the club.
Oh yeah, how have we missed that? Yeah, absolutely. And it looks like over the last couple of years where he has been, targeted by all sorts of clubs. Melbourne, West Coast, Gold Coast, and now Gold Coast again. It sounds like he was as close as ever to leaving, but thankfully decided to stay on. So that is good news because, replacing Stewie Dew, if that is something we are going to do, I don't know if we're going to bring in another senior assistant coach or if we're just going to shuffle and spread ourselves thinner. To lose him and Danny Daly would have been pretty detrimental, and then it looked like Cam Bruce may be walking out as well at some point as well. So to hold on to two of the three is really good. So,
if you look at it on a larger scale, you've got Murray, Swanee, and then the bulky, unlikely hero. They can't take everyone. Get out of here. Get out of here. We need to have some smokescreen staff members like Jed Adcock sit in the box and act like they do something. So if they're like, "Oh, we want Cam Bruce," they're like, "No, I'll take Jed Adcock."
Yeah, he's the brains behind the whole operation.
The Grizzly shit behind the tendons and whatever. Oh God, I think
good luck to him.
Poor Jed Adcock. I'm sorry that I really am not kind to that guy, but we won 2 flags after he left, so
yeah, can't argue with those results.
You cannot. I don't think there's really anything else, but I think probably from me is Thank you to the community at large and all of the donations and stuff for keeping me fed and, clean and that sort of stuff. It's always important. And thank you to you for doing all the editing and all of the actual work. It's quite important.
I did get a message maybe 2 weeks ago from someone saying, "Hi, JB," and I assume it's JB because I don't think Patrick does any of the admin. I was like, yes, good assumption.
That is, how dare they? I mean, I run a reasonably tight ship on the Discord because...
Yes, because that's where I fall down big time.
That one would make your little mind melt. All of those colours and nonsense and things. So, fuck that guy or gal.
Well, there you go. He's gone from thanking the fans to immediately, fuck that guy. So, there you go.
The dichotomy of me, or the duality of how I am. It's very on brand or on point. So, is there anything that you want to say to the people? Like, I took the initiative there.
A massive thank you to everyone. It has been an absolute pleasure to bring this show to you each and every week. Again for 2025, and so far every year that we've done this show, we've made a grand final. So long may that sequence continue.
If I didn't have horribly arthritic fingers, I would cross my fingers. I can't quite get there. Got the sausagey fingers of a many-year drummer, so not good.
All right, we will bid you adieu and see you in very short amount of time.
Hopefully next season I'll pull my finger out and get both of my premiership posters framed and put up behind, so you don't have to deal with this hot mess. But it's not so bad.
It's good.
Thank you, JB. Have a great off season.
You too, my friend.